Alright, let's talk power creep in Honkai Star Rail, or more specifically, my frustrations and concerns with character designs and the content available. To frame out what got me thinking about this, I was talking with a friend about who our favorite characters in the game are. For the record, for me, those characters are Jingliu and Blade. I saw them before the game even launched, and I was like, these characters are sick, and I want to get them. And I did. I got them on launch, I maxed them out, and then I used them afterwards for quite a while. But that's where that train of thought ended. Because I realized something, I was basically thinking in past tense. I used to use them, and I don't anymore. So, why is that? Is it because I don't want to? Is it, the memes about Jingliu and Yanqing on Reddit or whatever really got to me and I just hate her now? It's like, no, of course not. It's more so because the characters released now, and also the content being released now, doesn't really lend itself to those two characters being fun to use. These are characters who less than a year ago were considered the top DPS alongside Dan Heng, or at least Jingliu was, Blade was a little bit lower on the totem pole. And now here we are, less than a year later, where we have characters like Acheron and Firefly, and soon in the future we have Fei Zhao, and these are characters who are clearing every bit of content with multiple cycles or higher points than characters like Jingliu and Blade are. Now, you can call me a meta chaser or whatever, you can tell me, use your favorite characters anyway, man. And I get that, and I also get this is a gacha game. Power creep is the name of the game here. But it doesn't have to be, and I guess that's what's really frustrating. See, I'm someone who is coming from a nearly 4-year Genshin stint, and before that, and still to this day, I've played other games like FGO and Arknights. In those games, you can use whoever you want, whenever you want, pretty much wherever you want, and it all felt like you could do that without handicapping yourself. And some of the modes in those games, like Imaginarium Theater in Genshin, or Integrated Strategies in Arknights, or even Grailfront in FGO, they actually encourage you to use characters that you wouldn't normally use that aren't at the highest upper echelon peak of damage or whatever. But in a game like Honkai, where you have to kill the enemy before they kill you, and not only that, you have to do it within a certain time frame, or an action value, or whatever, or you don't win, then it's a problem. It's not, do you have the skill, or did you make a strategy around your favorite character? It's, do you have the stats, and the characters meant for the mode, and do those characters have good enough multipliers? If you do, congrats, you just got it clear. And this is where we get to the brunt of the problem. We have a character like Firefly, who can implant fire weakness for free by using her skill, and even if the enemy isn't implanted, she can still break their weakness. We have a character like Acheron, who does so much easy to stack ult damage, which, by the way, also ignores weakness, that it invalidates a pretty sizable chunk of content across the game. Is there a reason for that other than Mihoyo just wanted these characters to be strong? That just doesn't work. And to be clear, I keep mentioning characters like Firefly, Acheron, and in the future it's gonna be Fei Zhao, almost guaranteed, but it's not just them. We have Lingsha releasing with Fei Zhao, and for all intents and purposes, she is just Gallagher but better, and that sounds great on paper. But the problem is that Gallagher is already so good in a Super Break team, and he is so SP positive and beneficial to that team, especially if you're running an E0 Firefly where you need that SP, that someone like Lingsha is already power crept before she's even in the game. And yeah, you can say maybe Lingsha is actually meant for Fei Zhao because she has extra actions, or maybe you're someone who doesn't have Huohuo or Aventurine or Luocha, and you just need a basic sustain character. I am positive she will do that just fine for you. But why do you need a basic sustain character when the game gives you links for free? And what if during all your rolls you got spooked by a Bailu and you have her for free? We are less than 2 years into the game's life cycle, and we have characters who have power crept the top DPS from less than a year ago, We have characters that have power crept the top sustains from less than a year ago, to the point where if things get stronger than where they currently are, I don't even know what they can do. Like, is there really just gonna be, like, inflated HP on all the enemies now? I mean, realistically, probably. You can just look at how MOC is charted up in HP from 1.0, where it's probably somewhere less than 800k, to where it is now, where it's in the millions, and it's just like, it's insane. And this is just a whole other issue, because now, if our game is changing to extremely beefy enemies, where you need some, like, godly, super powerful nuker to kill anything, it just means we're on the opposite end of the spectrum and nothing really changes. New characters or a new class of units would just be super strong, and then we have others that are left behind. That is no different than where we currently are. Basically, I am realizing that we are kind of at a point where someone who isn't meta chasing and going for the new shiny DPS that the game is catered around is someone that won't be clearing high-end game content long term. And you know what, maybe that is fine, right? The small amount of primos for clearing MOC 12 is probably not going to make or break you getting a character. But I cannot say that I'm happy about that. Like, I can't say that it's fun gameplay to slam my head into a wall against a million HP enemy. Nor can I say I'm looking forward to getting Akron 2 whenever the next Emanator releases so I can clear that enemy, or there being another enemy like the Penacony Soda Monkey that was essentially just an aventurine salesman. And for the record, Fei Zhao, who I've mentioned a few times, that is just a whole other can of worms, because we're living in a game where there is an entire path built around single target damage, with no content where single target damage is preferred over blast or AoE. Like, let that sink in. There is no content where single target damage is good. Like, why would you ever pick Seela if she's your favorite character, if you're not someone that has her giga invested with like a full team with 170 speed supports? Why would you ever pick Su Shang, or normal Dan Hang, or arguably even Boot Hill, who's a more recent release, but I guess he gets a pass because he's break focused? Like, why would you pick these guys over Acheron or your Firefly? Or hell, pick a random AoE super break DPS, because for some ungodly reason, they introduced that mechanic into this game. When you have characters that can clear all content in the game by dealing as much damage as single target units can do in AoE, I don't know what else to say, but your game is cooked, man. And maybe like I said, it really just is a game where you shouldn't care about that last bit of primos in MOC or pure fiction or whatever. And maybe, I should just return to Monkey with Jingliu and Blade and Unga Boonga the enemy. If the enemy doesn't die between whatever arbitrary time frame MiHoYo decides to give us, then so be it. At least I use the characters that I like. But again, I can't say that would be fun. And I don't think that is good for the longevity of this game. So yeah, this is kind of a weird video to make. And for those of you coming across this, it's also the first video that I've ever made. So excuse the bits of awkwardness as I'm kind of just talking to a screen here. Anyway, yeah, that's my rant. I don't know if I plan on ranting about anything else in other videos, but hey, subscribe and I just might.